Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. In today's video, I'm going to go over some animated movies that I feel deserve to get a 4K release. When it comes to movies in a genre, or in this case, a medium, I do feel that animation as a whole is woefully underrepresented to getting 4K releases. There are a lot of great animated movies out there, and typically, yes, when you think of animation, your mind probably will go to Disney, who don't get me wrong, they have some wonderful films, and a couple of these are going to be on this list. But I do feel it goes so much beyond that. You have Studio Ghibli, who handles some of the greatest animation in Japan. There's other studios, and I do feel animation as a whole just doesn't get quite the love it deserves when it comes to physical 4K releases. Recently, Shout Factory had The Last Unicorn, which I felt was a really great step into that direction. I would love to see more of that. I mean, there's so many movies, so I thought I would put together a list, and not in any particular order, of some animated movies that I feel really deserve to get a 4K release. Of course, before I begin, this is my personal list, but I, as always, encourage you to put in the comment section below what animated films that you love deserve to get a 4K release. So, for my first pick, I'm going to start with Disney, but it's probably not one you're thinking of. It's not really a classic in the sense. I feel it's actually very underrated, but there's inherently something so charming about this one. Meet the Robinsons. I think would also meet that criteria of really a poppy visual color benefiting from HDR. I think would look really great. It's a really cool little sci-fi flick. Not a lot of people know about it, but I've always enjoyed it. I saw it for the first time, and I'm like, yeah, this is a really decent. It was back when Disney was sort of getting out of making everything a musical type of movie. They were trying something different. I don't believe it did well financially, but I just, and also it was a really decent 3D Blu-ray. I enjoyed the 3D on that one very much. But I think Meet the Robinsons really, it definitely hits all that criteria for a really poppy visual 4K upgrade. I would love to see it. Who knows? Is it going to happen? Probably not. That's what this list is for. This is a wish list, but I would very much like to see an upgraded 4K release of Meet the Robinsons. My next pick is a pretty unique choice, as it is the only animated film on this list that is technically in black and white. I'm talking about Tim Burton's Frankenweenie. This is once again another very charming story, and it has, if you're taking the whole Frankenstein mythology and giving it, putting a dog in its place as a pet owner, some of the beats in this film definitely hit. But I would love to see what a animated black and white film with full HDR support looks like. That to me, I think is well worth putting it on this list alone. And I also do feel that Tim Burton films are also most welcome on 4K. I could definitely see more of those from him coming in the future. But I would just love to see it. I think it would be it would once again it would be very unique. It's a cool, somewhat underrated film, especially when it comes to Tim Burton filmography. But yeah, I would love to see it, and maybe even a Dolby Atmos upgrade. I think that would also be the cherry on top. So, Frankenweenie on 4K, I would love to see it arrive on the format. This next one is already 4K when it comes to digital, and getting a physical release of this, I think, would be fairly simple. And it's also a movie that my wife and I watch every year, The Book of Life. I absolutely love this one. This was produced by Guillermo del Toro. The animation is also very unique. It's unlike anything else on this list. And I just love it. It's got some great songs. The art style, I think, would really lend itself to a nice a bit of HDR. I really think a 4K upgrade would just really shine. I don't have the current digital version, and it's like every time it hits like $5, I'm like so tempted to do it. But I love the movie. Getting it a physical 4K for me is an absolute must, and this is another one I feel more people should see. It's really cool. It's an awesome voice cast. Once again, the animation is very unique. So if I pique your interest, definitely check it out. But a physical 4K release of the Book of Life, I would love to see this in the future. My next one is another Tim Burton film, and I think you're probably going to guess what it is. Corpse Bride. I think would also really just shine on 4K. The Blu-ray is okay as far as the transfer goes, but it definitely could use a little tweak here and there. Perfect candidate for some good HDR and Dolby Vision on this one. And of all the movies on this list, I feel this is probably the most likely to happen. I believe Warner Brothers owns the rights to this one. I could see them putting together a 4K release of it sometime in the next couple years. Also very enjoyable. I love this one. It's got a great theme. I just love the dark and gloominess of the real, quote unquote, real world. And then when you get into the underworld, it's so colorful and bright. I think the contrast between the two would really shine with HDR. I love the film. It's also it's when people think of this one, they don't necessarily think of one of Tim Burton's greater movies, but it's really great. It's really great. I recommend just watching it if you've never seen it. But a 4K edition of Corpse Bride, I would love to see this, definitely. Of all the movies on this list, this next pick is probably the most obscure, but it's also from one of the great animation legends, Don Bluth. Titan AE. Once again, very obscure, but I think there's also a not a not a lack of, but sort of good sci-fi animated films. And I loved this one back in 2000. I remember watching this one quite a bit. I had the DVD. It was on a good rotation at that point. And I even remember the soundtrack being something, that I would listen to quite a bit. But I don't remember if this ever got a Blu-ray. It might have. I can't imagine it not. But a full 4K restoration, I think would just really benefit this film greatly. Awesome movie. It is a lot of fun. Once again, Don Bluth, animation, just royalty, had his hand in this one, and you can definitely see it. But I would love to see some more sci-fi animated films make the jump to 4K. So for me, Titan AE jumps to the top of that list. I've talked about this next one many times in past videos, and I feel it's so underrated. But Megamind, which I believe is a DreamWorks film, I think could honestly make the jump to 4K rather easily. But I love this film. I love it. It is also a really solid 3D Blu-ray if you still have that. But yeah, I mean, this came out right around the same time as Despicable Me. The media, I think, was putting those two movies against each other. Ultimately, Despicable Me won the audience vote, apparently, with several other sequels and spin-offs. Whereas Megamind just semi-recently got a TV show spin-off, which was god-awful. But the film, I love it. It's a really kind of it's a turn on the superhero trope, and it's really cool. And it's also got some very decent animation, and HDR would really benefit this movie greatly. Also, you need to add a Dolby Atmos to this. This movie's begging for it. But I love Megamind. It is such a great animated film, underrated for sure. And a 4K, I could see this one happening. Believe it or not, DreamWorks, come on, let's make it happen. So yes, Megamind definitely deserves to be on this list. I honestly could do a whole video on classic Disney animated films that should get a 4K. I think I may have even done one at some point years ago. But I thought I would pick one that I feel would really benefit from not only a visual upgrade, but audio as well. Fantasia, classic Disney animation. Beautiful artwork on this one. I think it's just such a gorgeously drawn and animated film. It's beautiful. Full HDR grading on this one would just pop those colors. And also the different animation styles. I think each one would just really look great. But also, I know this is probably never going to happen, but an Atmos upgrade, the whole musical aspect of the movie, filling the room, adding those extra channels, I think would just really put this one over the top. I think it has so much potential. The likelihood of that happening are probably close to zero, but a 4K of the film just with the picture enhancements, I think it's probably on the table at some point, but who knows? Disney's going to Disney. They'll probably end up paying $70 for a Steelbook only release on that one anyway. But yeah, Fantasia on 4K. Yes, let's make it happen. And of course, I can't have a list like this without another classic from Don Bluth, The Secret of NIMH. Oh, I have such fond memories of this movie. I still have the Blu-ray, sits on my shelf. I break it out every couple of years. But I think some TLC, some restoration, nice fresh coat of paint on this one with HDR. I think a lot of people like myself would be very much in favor of picking this one up on 4K. It's such a beautifully animated movie. It's haunting. It's really good. And it's also not a very, I would say, kid-friendly type of movie. There's some dark themes into it, but oh my goodness, the animation on this would just shine on 4K. I I'm hopeful one day, even if it's some label like Shout Factory picks this one up. Once again, I mentioned The Last Unicorn a little while ago. Do the same with The Secret of NIMH. Give this the full 4K workup, put it on physical disc. I know a lot of people would pick it up. So for the last animated movie that I feel deserves to get a proper 4K release, I think a lot of people would agree with this one, The Iron Giant. What can I say? I have a group of friends. We talk about this movie semi-regularly. I feel it is so well regarded. And it just seems kind of a little bit baffling that we haven't gotten a 4K of this one yet. I just enjoy the movie immensely. It has that cool 50s, 60s visual style. It's such a well-told story. It's great. The voice cast is also pretty awesome. Vin Diesel in one of his earliest roles. But it is such a good movie. It is. And I think HDR would give that visual style a nice boost. And hey, why not throw in a Dolby Atmos? I think there's plenty of scenes that would benefit from the height channels. Rework that audio, but leave the original for us purists also to enjoy. But yeah, I think The Iron Giant on 4K definitely deserves a 4K release. I'm hopeful Warner Brothers will make this one happen at some point. But yeah, I would love to see it sometime in the future. Hopefully, Warner Brothers, let's make it happen. So those are some animated movies that I would love to see get physical 4K disc releases sometime in the future. Hopefully 1 or 2 or 3 even of these movies that I talked about are in the pipeline. That would be fantastic. But there are just so many great animated movies that I've not included on this list that I would also love to see get the jump to 4K. But that's where I leave it to you. In the comment section, let me know what you, as far as animated movies, would love to see get a physical 4K. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.